If you drive in the UK, or if you know someone who does, listen up. Seriously. Stop scrolling for just a second because this affects you more than you might realise. There are major blue badge parking changes coming this August that could completely change where you can park, how much you have to pay, and even whether you're eligible at all. The rules as we know them? They're shifting. And here's the thing, most drivers are absolutely clueless about what's heading our way. I'm talking about changes that could leave you scrambling, wondering why your usual parking spot is suddenly off limits, or worse, why you've been hit with a fine you never expected.
This isn't about scare tactics. This is about getting you the information you need before it's too late. Because these changes are happening. August 2026 is right around the corner. Whether you're a blue badge holder yourself, or you drive someone who relies on one, or even if you're just a driver who needs to know where you can and can't park, this matters to you. We're talking about new rules on where blue badges can be used, changes to free parking periods, and even updates to how you apply and renew. Some councils are already trialling new systems, others are making permanent shifts. But here's the kicker. The vast majority of the information out there is confusing, vague, or just plain wrong. So I've done the digging for you. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what's changing, when, and most importantly, what you need to do to stay ahead of the curve. Before we dive into all the details, drop a like on this video. It genuinely helps more people see this information, and I know how crucial that is. Now, let's get into it, because these changes are bigger than you think. Stay with me. Right, let's get straight down to business. The landscape of the UK's blue badge scheme is going through what can only be described as a major transformation. And if you're not paying attention, you could easily get caught out. The changes that are coming into effect from August 2026 aren't just minor tweaks to the rulebook. We're looking at significant shifts in how local authorities are interpreting the scheme, how they're enforcing it, and crucially, where you can actually use your blue badge effectively.
Let me start by explaining the context, because that matters. The Blue Badge Scheme, for those who don't know, is designed to help people with disabilities or health conditions park closer to their destinations. It's a lifeline for over 3 million people across the UK. The number of badges in circulation has actually grown by about 8% over the last year alone. More people are recognising their eligibility, which is a good thing for inclusivity. But that growth brings its own set of challenges. Local authorities are dealing with increased demand, limited budgets, and the ever-present need to balance accessibility with traffic management. Now, one of the most significant changes is happening in London, and it's a sign of things to come across the rest of the country. The London Borough of Hackney has introduced experimental traffic orders that came into operation at the start of March 2026. These orders allow all valid blue badge holders to park for free in general use permit bays, with some important exceptions. You can't just park anywhere, though. The free parking doesn't apply to resident-only bays, estate-only bays, or business-only bays. It's specifically designed to improve accessibility in areas where disabled parking spaces have historically been limited. This is part of Hackney's Parking and Enforcement Plan, which prioritises the needs of people with disabilities at the top of their parking hierarchy. But here's the catch. It's experimental. The trial lasts for 18 months, during which time they'll be gathering data and considering whether to make the changes permanent. If you're a blue badge holder in Hackney, or you frequently drive through, you need to know that this is a trial period. It might become permanent, or it might be adjusted. There's a 6-month window from the date the order came into force where any person can object to the making of permanent orders. So, the council is genuinely testing the waters, and the feedback they get will shape what happens next. Speaking of feedback, this isn't the only place where things are shifting. Over in Westminster, they've had a similar idea, but with a different twist. From March 2026, new on-street pay-to-park and permit charges apply. Now, here's a crucial point you need to understand about Westminster and other central London boroughs. The National Blue Badge Scheme doesn't actually apply there in the same way as it does elsewhere. That's due to traffic congestion and the high demand for parking in central London. If you're used to using your blue badge freely in central London, you need to be aware that the rules are different. and they are changing again.
We've also seen Westminster City Council relocating disabled parking bays. A recent order moved 4 blue badge bays from one location to another and adjusted waiting restrictions around them. This might sound like a small thing, but when you're relying on a specific bay to get to your appointment or your shopping, that relocation can make a huge difference. It highlights the fact that councils are constantly reviewing and adjusting their parking infrastructure, and blue badge holders need to stay informed. But the changes aren't just about where you can park, they're also about how much you might have to pay. Let's talk money, because that's always a sensitive topic. Hackney Council has also decided to introduce a £10 administration fee for the issuance of new blue badges, renewals and replacements starting from April 2026. This is a significant shift because Hackney was previously one of only 2 London boroughs that didn't charge its residents this fee. They receive around 4,300 applications every year, and with national trends showing a 10% annual increase in demand, they need to cover the administrative costs somehow. The introduction of this fee will generate around £36,000 per year for the council, which helps sustain the blue badge scheme for all eligible residents. The £10 fee is set as a maximum by the government, and most local authorities in England already charge it. In Scotland, the fee is up to £20, while in Wales it remains free of charge. This is a vital point to remember if you're moving between different parts of the UK or if you're applying for a badge for the first time. The cost isn't uniform across the country. England charges up to £10 for a badge that lasts up to 3 years, so the cost works out at just over £3 per year. It's not a huge amount, but for people on tight budgets, any additional expense can be a burden. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of some other changes that are happening outside London, because this is a national phenomenon, not just a capital city issue. Over in Lancaster, the council is proposing significant changes to its off-street parking order. Subject to approval, they want to introduce a maximum uncharged period of 7 hours for valid blue badge holders in all council car parks. After that 7-hour period, standard charges will apply within the same 24-hour period. They're also making changes to require a cardboard time clock to be displayed alongside the blue badge. This is a classic example of how councils are trying to manage parking turnover. They want to ensure that blue badge holders can access parking, but they don't want those spaces to be occupied all day long by a single user, potentially blocking others who need them. It's a fine balance between accessibility and availability. This theme of limiting free parking periods is cropping up in other places too. In South Kesteven in Lincolnshire, the council has launched a consultation on a proposal for a 3-hour cap on free parking for blue badge holders. The council leader said the changes would still mean their car parks are among the most reasonable for blue badge holders, and they argued that people who want to park all day should pay for that privilege. The reason behind this is that they've found disabled bays in places like Grantham and Stamford are often full. By imposing a time limit, they're hoping to increase turnover and make it easier for more people to access these spaces. However, this proposal has received a mixed response from blue badge users. One driver who uses crutches pointed out that disabled people shop too, and it takes twice as long for them to do so. Another user feared that a cap on free parking could force more blue badge holders to park on roads rather than in car parks, which could cause safety issues and congestion. This is the kind of conflict that local authorities are wrestling with. They're trying to balance the needs of blue badge holders with the commercial needs of their town centres and the overall flow of traffic. And there's no single answer that fits every town or city. But it's not just about parking limits and fees. There's also positive news on the horizon for people with long-term health conditions. The UK government has confirmed that local councils can now choose to reuse medical evidence that has already been submitted with previous applications for blue badge renewals. This is a huge deal because it potentially saves people with chronic and progressive conditions from having to go through the stress and bureaucracy of providing the same medical evidence repeatedly. The Blue Badge digital service provides local authorities with an option to mark cases as not needing an evidence review.
This option means that future applications may be assessed without the necessity for an applicant to provide evidence previously submitted.
Now, before you get too excited, it's important to understand that this is an option for local authorities, not a legal requirement. Councils can decide whether to use this feature as part of their assessment process. So, if you're applying to renew your blue badge and you have a long-term condition, it's worth checking with your local council to see if they've implemented this. It could make the renewal process much less time-consuming and less stressful. The UK government said this measure is intended to make future blue badge renewal applications easier and less time-consuming for eligible applicants. But while the government is trying to make some things easier, there's also a huge push to streamline the application process and reduce delays. Lib Dem-run Shropshire Council has introduced a 12-week grace period for blue badge renewals to deal with a sharp rise in demand and ongoing funding pressures. They've seen applications jump from 6,290 in 2020 to over 9,300 in 2024. That's a massive increase. With government funding for local authorities reducing significantly, councils are left to manage rising demand with fewer resources. The grace period means that if you've applied to renew before your badge expires, your expired badge will continue to be recognised for 12 weeks while your application is processed. This is an absolute lifeline for people who rely on their blue badge for independence and access to essential services. It recognises that the system isn't perfect and that delays are unacceptable. The council is also recruiting an extra member of staff to the blue badge team to increase capacity and speed up decision-making. This is a practical response to a real problem, and it's encouraging to see councils taking action to support their residents. The current processing time in Shropshire is 11 weeks, which is actually the shortest it's been for a while, but they're still working to improve it. This grace period applies only to Shropshire Council car parks and their other council locations, though. It does not apply to parking locations operated by private business owners, who could still enforce charges for outdated blue badges. So, if you're in Shropshire, make sure you understand exactly where you can and can't use an expired badge during that grace period. It's a local arrangement, not a national one. Across the country, the government has been clear that the eligibility criteria for blue badges are focused on the impact on an applicant's mobility, rather than being based on specific disabilities or conditions. This was confirmed in a parliamentary written answer earlier this year. The government fully recognises the importance of ensuring that the blue badge scheme supports those who have their mobility impacted by substantial and enduring disabilities and other health conditions. While conditions like Parkinson's disease are not automatically eligible for a blue badge, applicants may still be eligible based on the evidence they provide. Ultimately, decisions on eligibility are for the responsible local authority. So, what does this all mean for you? It means you need to be proactive. Don't assume that the rules you've been operating under for years are still in place. They might not be. Check with your local council. Understand what the rules are in your area, and more importantly, what they're going to be from August 2026 onwards. If you're a blue badge holder, start planning your renewals well in advance. Don't leave it until the last minute. The best advice is to apply for your renewal at least 12 weeks before your badge expires. This gives the council time to process your application and ensures you won't have a gap in your coverage. Remember, displaying an out-of-date blue badge is classed as misuse, and you could be prosecuted and fined up to £1,000 if you continue to use it after it has expired. That's not a risk you want to take. It's a criminal offence, and it's taken very seriously. So, check the expiry date on your badge right now. Put a reminder in your phone. Don't rely on your memory. Now, I want to bring this all together. The changes we're seeing are part of a broader shift towards more localised control over parking. Councils are experimenting with different models because there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Some are trying free parking in permit bays to improve accessibility. Others are introducing time limits to increase turnover. Some are introducing fees to cover administrative costs, and the government is trying to streamline the renewal process for people with long-term conditions. But the bottom line is this: you need to stay informed. You can't afford to be passive. These changes have real-world consequences for your independence, your finances, and your peace of mind.
The landscape is shifting, and the only way to navigate it successfully is to be on the front foot. Do your research, ask questions, and if you see something that doesn't make sense, raise it with your counsel. That's why I've put this video together. I wanted to give you a clear, comprehensive overview of what's happening so that you're not caught off guard. August 2026 is going to be a significant month for the Blue Badge scheme, and the groundwork is being laid right now. The trials in Hackney, the new fees, the time limits, the renewal updates, they're all part of a bigger picture. And you deserve to know how that picture is going to affect your life.
I hope you found this breakdown helpful. I know I've covered a lot of information and it can seem overwhelming, but I believe that knowledge is power. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be. If you've got any questions about these changes or anything else to do with the Blue Badge scheme, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them or point you in the right direction. Don't forget to like this video if you found it useful. It genuinely helps the channel, and it means more people will see this information. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future updates. There are more changes coming, I'm certain of it, and I'll be right here to keep you informed every step of the way. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and stay safe on the roads. I'll see you in the next one.